President Kiir dismisses Vice President Benjamin Bol Mel and SPLM party chairman. Juba, November 12, 2025. In a dramatic political shakeup late Wednesday evening, President Salva Kiir Mayardit dismissed Vice President Benjamin Bol Mel and the chairman of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, SPLM, in what analysts describe as a decisive move to reassert control over the ruling party ahead of the 2026 general elections. The presidential decrees, read on South Sudan Broadcasting Corporation (SSBC), took the nation by surprise, as both officials were considered longtime loyalists and influential figures within the SPLM leadership circle. No official reason was given for their removal. Political tremors within the SPLM, Benjamin Bol Mel, who has served as vice president since 2023, was regarded as a key economic advisor and a close political ally of the president, particularly in matters related to infrastructure and investment. His dismissal comes amid reports of deepening divisions within the SPLM over leadership succession and election strategy. Sources close to the presidency told Sudan's Post that the decision followed a series of internal consultations within the National Liberation Council, NLC, after tensions escalated over control of party structures and the nomination process for the upcoming national elections. A senior SPLM official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said the president's move was long anticipated and intended to neutralize growing dissent among party elites. There were clear signs of disagreement within the top ranks. The president's decision is both political and strategic, the source added. Reactions and political implications. The announcement has sent shockwaves across the political landscape. Some SPLM members have expressed concern that the dismissals could destabilize the party ahead of the transitional elections, while others praised the move as necessary to restore unity and discipline. This is a defining moment for the SPLM and the future of South Sudan's politics, said political analyst James Guyayuan. President Kiir is consolidating his base as the political temperature rises. These dismissals show he wants to enter the 2026 elections with absolute control. Opposition leaders, including representatives of the SPLM-IO and other political parties, are yet to issue official statements, though early reactions suggest the move could further complicate the already fragile peace implementation process. What's next? As of Wednesday night, no replacements had been announced for the positions vacated by Bol Mel and the SPLM chairman. Observers expect that new appointments could follow within days, as the president seeks to fill the leadership vacuum and maintain political balance. The dismissal also raises questions about potential realignments within the SPLM, with speculation that loyalists of the removed officials might form new alliances or defect to other political movements. President Kiir dismisses Vice President Benjamin Bol Mel, strips him of military rank. Juba, November 12, 2025. President Salva Kiir Mayardit has dismissed Vice President Benjamin Bol Mel and stripped him of his military title, demoting him from the rank of general to private, effectively reducing him to a civilian. The presidential decree, broadcast on South Sudan Broadcasting Corporation (SSBC) on Wednesday evening, announced Bol Mel's removal from office and his demotion without specifying detailed reasons for the move. However, senior government insiders told Sudan's Post that the decision follows what was described as a serious breach of trust and internal misconduct within the ruling Sudan People's Liberation Movement, SPLM. Power struggle inside the SPLM. The decision comes amid growing internal divisions within the SPLM, with sources saying Bol Mel's relationship with President Kiir has deteriorated over the past few months. Political observers suggest that the dismissal is linked to rising tensions among top party officials as the country prepares for the 2026 general elections. This is more than just a political reshuffle. It's a clear signal that President Kiir is consolidating power ahead of the elections, said a Juba-based political analyst who requested anonymity for security reasons. Demoting a former general to a private is an unprecedented show of authority. Background on Bol Mel. Benjamin Bol Mel, a prominent businessman and longtime ally of President Kiir, rose to political prominence through his influence in both the SPLM and the economic sector. Before his appointment as vice president, Bol Mel was known for his close association with the president and for spearheading several infrastructure projects under government contracts. However, Recent months have seen growing speculation about divisions between Bol Mel and other senior SPLM figures, including allegations of financial mismanagement and interference in party affairs. Public and political reactions to the dismissal have been mixed. Some SPLM members have defended the president's decision as necessary to maintain discipline and party unity, while others see it as part of a broader campaign to sideline potential rivals. An SPLM official who spoke to reporters off record said, "The president has every right to take disciplinary action when a member steps out of line. The party must remain strong and united." Opposition voices, however, have criticized the move, calling it politically motivated. "This is a purge aimed at silencing those who disagree with the president," said a member of the SPLM-IO faction loyal to Dr. Riek Machar. Broader implications: the dismissal of Bol Mel marks one of the most dramatic political developments in South Sudan this year, following a series of tensions between the presidency and key peace partners. The move also raises new questions about stability within the government and the future of the peace implementation process. Analysts warn that such high-profile purges could deepen mistrust among the country's political elites and complicate preparations for next year's elections. South Sudan's leadership struggles have always had ripple effects on peace and governance, said Dr. James Okuk, a political analyst at the University of Juba. This decision may create new fractures within the ruling party at a time when unity is crucial. South Sudan's leadership struggles have always had ripple effects on peace and governance, said Dr. James Okuk, a political analyst at the University of Juba. This decision may create new fractures within the ruling party at a time when unity is crucial. The downfall of Vice President Benjamin Bol Mel, from power to a common civil servant. In a stunning political twist that has sent shockwaves across South Sudan's political landscape, President Salva Kiir Mayardit has dismissed Vice President Benjamin Bol Mel, stripping him not only of his executive powers, but also demoting him from the rank of general to that of a private, effectively reducing one of the country's most powerful figures to the level of an ordinary civil servant. The decree, broadcast on state-run SSBC television late Tuesday night, cited gross misconduct, abuse of office, and betrayal of trust as grounds for the dismissal. The decision, which also removes Bol Mel from his position as chairman of the SPLM Party Council, marks the end of an extraordinary political journey that began with promises of economic reform and national unity, but ended in controversy and humiliation. From business tycoon to vice president, before entering politics, Bol Mel was widely known as a successful businessman and head of ABMC Group, a company credited with major infrastructure projects across South Sudan. His close relationship with President Kiir and his perceived loyalty to the SPLM-IG earned him key government appointments and, eventually, the vice presidency. Analysts once described Bol Mel as one of the most influential figures in Juba, a power broker who combined wealth, political access, and military rank to shape decisions at the highest level of government. The fall from grace, however, tensions within the presidency reportedly escalated in recent months, with sources inside the SPLM suggesting that Bol Mel was accused of corruption, disloyalty, and involvement in factional activities that undermined President Kiir's authority. His removal follows a broader shakeup in the security and political establishment, which observers say is aimed at consolidating Kiir's grip ahead of the planned 2026 general elections. A high-ranking government insider, speaking on condition of anonymity, described the move as a total political annihilation, adding that Bol Mel's military demotion to private was intended to send a strong message to other officials harboring political ambitions outside Kiir's circle. Public reaction and political implications. The announcement has stirred intense debate within South Sudan. Supporters of Kiir praise the decision as an act of discipline and accountability, while others view it as a purge of potential rivals. Opposition figures have called the move politically motivated, arguing that it reflects the ruling SPLM's deepening internal fractures. "It's not just a dismissal, it's a humiliation," said one Juba-based political analyst. Demoting a vice president to a civil servant is unprecedented in South Sudan's history. It shows how far Kiir is willing to go to maintain control. What next for Bol Mel? As of now, Benjamin Bol Mel has not issued any public statement. Sources close to him indicate that he has been placed under tight security surveillance, with limited access to communication and travel. Whether he will attempt a political comeback or quietly exit the scene remains uncertain. Meanwhile, the move is expected to reshape alliances within the SPLM and could intensify divisions as the country approaches a critical election year. 1. Public sentiment and political fatigue. The celebrations in Juba suggest that a segment of the population may have grown frustrated with Dr. Benjamin Bol Mel's leadership or perceived influence within the system. His dismissal appears to resonate with citizens who associate his removal with accountability or change within the political elite. 2. Shift in power dynamics. President Kiir's decision to not only dismiss Bol Mel, but also demote him militarily and strip him of his SPLM leadership role signals a dramatic political fall, not a routine reshuffle. It demonstrates Kiir's willingness to consolidate power and send a warning to other senior officials who might be seen as overstepping or disloyal. 3. Erosion of immunity among elites. The demotion from general to private and expulsion from the National Security Service is highly symbolic. It shows that even top-ranking figures are not untouchable when they fall out of favor. This could mark a precedent for internal discipline or, conversely, be viewed as political retribution. 4. Public desire for change or justice. The people's visible excitement indicates a broader yearning for reform, justice, or an end to perceived corruption and impunity among senior officials. It reflects a social undercurrent that wants to see accountability at the highest levels of power. 5. Political volatility. Such a major purge could deepen internal SPLM divisions and shake alliances, especially if Bol Mel had loyal backers in the government, security services, or business circles. It could lead to new realignments ahead of the 2026 elections. 1. Consolidation of power by President Kiir by removing Bol Mel from the vice presidency, SPLM leadership, and the National Security Service. Kiir is centralizing authority. This move sends a strong signal to other SPLM elites. Loyalty is rewarded, dissent or independent influence can be punished for the 2026 elections. This may allow Kiir to tighten his control over party machinery and state resources, which are critical for election campaigns. 2. Weakening of potential rivals. Bol Mel was not just a vice president. He was first deputy chairperson of the SPLM and a military figure. These roles gave him influence in both politics and security. His removal weakens a rival power bloc inside the party, potentially preventing internal challenges to Kiir's dominance. Any faction that supported Bol Mel may now be forced to realign or risk marginalization. 3. Risk of factionalism. Sudden dismissals can spark resentment among Bol Mel supporters in the SPLM and security services. If these factions feel excluded or threatened, it could fragment the party, creating openings for opposition or independent candidates. This could be destabilizing in the short term, especially if tensions escalate before the 2026 elections. 4. Impact on public perception. The public celebration suggests that Kiir might gain popularity among citizens frustrated with corruption, impunity, or elite infighting. However, there is a risk. If the dismissal is seen as political revenge rather than genuine reform, it may erode confidence among certain voter groups or elites who prefer stability. 5. Strategic timing ahead of elections. Removing Bol Mel now, less than a year before elections, may allow Kiir to reshape the SPLM leadership in his favor, appointing loyalists to key positions. This can influence candidate selection, party messaging, and control over state institutions, all of which are critical levers in an election environment like South Sudan. Bottom line, Kiir's action strengthens his grip on the SPLM and the government in the short term, but it carries risks of internal division and potential backlash if disgruntled factions mobilize. For the 2026 elections, it could either secure a more controlled victory or trigger instability that opposition groups might exploit.